We welcome to studio Brigadier General in the Reserves, Israel Relik Shafir, the former commander at the Tel Nof Air Force Base and a former combat pilot in the Israeli Air Force. Thank you so much for being here. The hearts of the nation with the hostages. We're hearing families making an impassioned appeal. More than 6 months in captivity. Psychological manipulation and twisted moves out of Hamas right now. We're hearing devastating reports out of the United States around fears over the fate of the hostages, how many of them are actually alive. Your take right now on efforts around some kind of deal?
I don't think we're around a deal. Hamas is using or manipulating our feelings, and they know that the more they can hold and the more the Iranians help them through their proxies or directly, the better their position is internationally and within the Arab world. And so it's up to us to think how we can advance the chances of the hostages to return and what kind of moves Israel can do. At this time, the government does not have a clear view, at least that's the way it seems. What is the way forward? Is it to go full blast into a war into Rafah? Is it to cave into some of the demands? And so there's indecision within the government itself, and the credibility of this government was eroded to such a degree that the hostage families don't trust the prime minister at this time. So it's a very delicate and sad situation.
The U.S. says Hamas must now respond to the latest proposal, and we heard Ismail Haniyeh earlier on in this broadcast saying that the killing of his 3 sons, all of whom were terror operatives, the IDF making that clear in recent hours, isn't going to impact in any way the way Hamas would negotiate. Your take on what that pressure looks like in terms of, you say, the next move for Israel. What do they do to get a response out of Hamas? What does the U.S. do? What does Qatar do right now?
Well, if we go back and think of the initiation of the move on the 7th of October, and what does Sinwar really want? They want to put the Palestinian problem on the table, not to be discarded. So far, they've been successful in doing so. And to my understanding, they would rather die in Gaza than give in without getting concrete results from their deeds and from the payments that, so to speak, the Gazans have paid. So on the international level, on what the world sees, we don't see this in our television sets, but the whole world sees the devastation of Gaza and the humanitarian problem in Gaza works for them. And so they have no reason at this time to cave into the West's demands and our demands.
Hamas officials saying earlier on that a ceasefire is needed to locate hostages in Gaza. Talk about manipulation. At this juncture, they're calling for a truce so they can actually find out where the hostages are, according to this latest report.
That might not be completely untrue.
But it is deceptive and it is twisted at this juncture to say, okay, give us a truce so we can actually go and find out how many hostages there are. No proof of life at this stage. Families still waiting for more than 6 months, don't even know if their relatives are alive.
You're right, but that doesn't make it not true, in the sense that we've taken Hamas apart in so many ways that they may have lost contact with some of the places that were holding the hostages, such as the Islamic Jihad. And we know that there are some families who are just holding hostages, and they might not be in contact with Hamas. So all in all, it is so unfortunate that this might be true.
And all the more tragic when one thinks about the efforts and the pleas for the Red Cross to get to the hostages, for medical supplies, tablets to get to the hostages. Perhaps if there'd been proof of life, perhaps if they'd come forward earlier on and said, this is where we know people are. Things would look a little bit different right now, but that is also up for speculation. I want to turn right now to an imminent threat through the eyes of intelligence, and that is what Iran might be doing in the coming days, potentially. We don't want to create any panic, but Israel has said it straight. If Iran attacks Israel, Israel will respond. Your concern about what could be coming out of Tehran or its proxies?
Well, the direct thought would be ballistic missiles that would be shot at Israel. We have a very good defense system that can shoot those down, and in fact they would be shot over Syria and Jordan because the Arrow missile flies out faster and farther than those ballistic missiles and can shoot them in outer space. That's one thing, and the other one is a swarm of low-level mini RPVs, which is remotely piloted vehicles, non-manned aerial drones. These can also be shot by either fighter aircraft or the Iron Dome or the David Sling. So we have a pretty good defense system there. But the Iranians know this. And what I would think is if we hit a consulate, they would also try to hit a consulate. Our consulate somewhere where we're more vulnerable in one way or another.
The IDF says it's prepared for any scenario on all fronts. We wait and we see. Worrying indeed. Brigadier General in the Reserves, Israel Relik Shafir, always appreciate your insights. Thank you very much.